from Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Adeshawa Josh. Our top stories tonight. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudirat Kekereekun, laments rot in the judiciary despite Nigeria's climb in latest Corruption Perception Index report. President Tinubu orders ministers to give account of stewardship with immediate effect. President Donald Trump doubles down on taking over Gaza as he meets with King of Jordan at the White House.
In business, Central Bank of Nigeria ends free ATM withdrawal on other banks as it introduces new charges from March 1.
And in sports, Nigeria's Flying Eagles to face Egypt in key friendlies as part of preparations for the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. Details in a moment.
Tonight begins right now. We begin tonight with Nigeria's judicial system, where legal officials are facing a crisis of confidence. This is according to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudirat Kekereekun, who named corruption, delay in justice delivery, and perceived bias as some of the factors undermining public trust in the judiciary. Addressing participants at this year's hybrid refresher course of judges of Superior Courts of Record in Abuja, Chief Justice Kekereekun says Nigeria's legal system is facing intense scrutiny over its handling of high-profile cases, as many Nigerians question the fairness and integrity of the judicial process. Experts say a lack of public trust weakens the efficacy of Nigeria's legal system, which makes it rather difficult for the courts to deliver on their core mandate, to deliver justice. Now let's bring in Jide Ologun, a lawyer and social development advocate, for more on this story. He joins me from Lagos. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
What do you make of Chief Justice Kekereekun's remarks?
I commend her boldness to confront this issue. And of course, according to her, these challenges not only weaken the judiciary's authority, but also erode public confidence. And justice is challenged when public confidence is eroded. And then, according to her too, is creating a dangerous disconnect between the courts and the society they are expected to serve. And when the society begins to lose confidence in the judicial system, then we may have a resort to jungle justice. And I really don't want that to happen in the country. But interestingly, she is the chairman of the National Judicial Council of Nigeria. And some of the functions of the National Judicial Council is the appointment, promotion, and discipline of judicial officers. So she is the chairman of the council that oversees the ecosystem of the judicial system in Nigeria. And then the council has been coming up with various reforms to protect and preserve the sanctity of the judiciary. But like a wise man said, the biggest room is the room for improvement, because our goal is to have a system that is fair, speedy, and meets the hope of all men. So let me throw more light on the concerns here. Reportedly, during the tenure of Honorable Justice Kayode Arimola as the Chief Justice of the Federation of Nigeria, he came out at the time to tell the world that about 6,284 cases gathered dust in the Supreme Court, and that is the highest court in the land. And that was the time when only 13 justices were left, unlike what is provided for the Constitution for 21 justices. But before Honorable Justice Kayode Arimola left, we had a full complement in the Supreme Court. But how far has that reflected in the speedy delivery of justice? But let me say this. When you talk about the NJC, the mission is for it to serve efficiently and, of course, effective administration of justice in Nigeria. And the vision is a judiciary that is integrity-driven, with adequate measure to enhance timely and equitable dispensation of justice in Nigeria.
Let me come in there. Let me come in there quickly, Mr. Ologun. You have said it twice, speedy delivery of justice. With the exception of the absence of fact or evidence, why does it take so long to deliver judgment on a case in Nigeria? And what should be the average turnaround time for the delivery of justice?
You see, it's a plethora of issues. Talking perhaps because of the infrastructural challenges, because at the time, even the justice of the Supreme Court came out to complain that they were not well equipped for the services they render. There may also be distractions, and sometimes the bar, and I'm talking of the lawyers now that approach the courts, they can also bring delays. But the bench has the power to prevent that delay and send strong signals and strong fines on lawyers who, because I can let you know, in some cases, lawyers bring frivolous applications while matters are going on. We have a case now in the High Court here in Lagos, Ikeja, that commenced in 2011, and we have not even had hearing. The trial has not taken place. In fact, the Honorable Justice handling the matter has been lifted to the Court of Appeal, so the matter will now be reassigned to another judge. There are issues like that. We have a case also in the Supreme Court right now that we don't even know when date will be given for the case. In fact, as at the first quarter of 2024, Honorable Justice Kekere herself came out to tell the world that the Nigerian Superior Courts of Record, excluding the Supreme Court, had accumulated a total of 243 and 253 pending cases. You can imagine. And out of this, about 199,747 were civil cases, and about 43,506 were criminal cases. And she expressed her dismay at all this, and at a point that some judges have even failed to deliver a single judgment over an entire quarter. So what do we do about that? But like I said,
exactly. What do we do about that? You mentioned infrastructural challenges. Could you explain what you mean by that? What sort of infrastructure do lawyers need to do their job and deliver justice?
When some of the honorable justices in the Supreme Court went complaining and then expressed their concerns openly, they even said at a time that they were not equipped with internet facilities to drive their services to the citizens. You see, there are several issues connected. We've been to court where there was no electric supply for these people to operate. So it's a combination of issues. But by and large, I think the Nigerian National Judicial Council should come up with a mechanism to evaluate the performance of the legal officers on the bench, and not just right now. I may ask a simple question. I just wrote out some statistics now, but what has been done by NJC to carry out a deep research into how many judges are lagging behind, what are the reasons, carry out a comprehensive survey and come up with a strategic mandate to advise them on how to move. Because you will notice that some of these cases are just mere civil cases and criminal cases. Exactly. When it comes to high-profile cases, sometimes, except for those in financial crimes, it may not be delayed. And then a solution was brought into the electoral sector of the judicial interventions, which was time-bound. So why can't we also do the same? Why can't we? I just mentioned that we have a case in court since 2011, talking about 14 years now.
Mr. Logo.
And it's a technical matter. So why don't we come up at the state levels, at the nation, everywhere, to say, okay, now, if this matter is about tenancy, within 3 months, we must conclude. And you focus on it. And like I said, the judges should be firm on lawyers who come to introduce different kinds of applications, and so it's a symbiotic approach, a wholesome approach that we need.
Has there been any time in the history of Nigeria's judicial system that you felt things were better? And what will it take to address the issues that you have raised also?
let me say this. When you talk about change management, it involves implementing approaches to prepare, support individuals, teams, and leaders in making organizational change. So it's not just what we call hardware, it's also software. You must deal with the mindsets of those who are involved, look at their conditioning in industrial psychology, and see how you can change it. And we have what we call the 5 C's of change management. We talk about clarity. What exactly do you want to achieve with the change management? Clarity. We talk about communication. How do you communicate? I've suggested here. What survey have we carried out? And it's a good thing now she's addressing these judges, and they come together. And when you after communication, you have collaboration. It's a teamwork. There are issues that must be collaborated upon. And you talk about culture. I must say it's as if we now have a culture of delay in justice in Nigeria. Obviously so. I've told you, you may go to Supreme Court now and find out the dates in the cases that have been attended to. It may amaze you that maybe as we speak now, it may be cases of 2013, and we're in 2025. You see, so you talk of clarity, you talk of communication, you talk of collaboration, you talk of culture, and you talk about commitment. And the commitment comes when you have achieved the desired change. And we now say we must be committed to this. And that is where the NJC will have to come in again to say, okay, there will be penalties. And you must monitor, you must measure. What you don't measure, and you cannot really give account over. And Bill Clinton said the price of doing the same old thing is far higher than the price of change. So we must go for that change. That's right. And Charles Kettering said the world hates change. Yet it is the only thing that has brought change. So we need change. We're going to have to leave it there. It's a society bereaved of justice. It's a threatened society. And let me conclude by saying that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And those are the wise words of Peter Drucker. So I am, also encouraging the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kekere, to be bold enough to challenge some of these issues. And she's doing that,
it appears. Thank you so much, Mr. Jideologu. We're going to have to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for your thoughts on the program tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless Nigeria.
And coming up tonight, Nigeria moves up 5 places in the 2024 Corruption Perception Index report. Social activist Awa Rafsanjani joins me after this break to put that into perspective. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. I'm Adeshewa Josh. A reminder of our top stories. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudirat Kekereekun, laments rot in the judiciary despite Nigeria's climb in latest Corruption Perception Index report. President Tinubu orders ministers to give account of stewardship with immediate effect. President Donald Trump doubles down on taking over Gaza as he meets with King of Jordan. Nigeria has made notable improvement in its fight against corruption, climbing 5 spots to rank 140th out of 180 countries in the 2024 Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. With a score of 26 out of 100, Nigeria made gains of 1 point from its previous score of 25 in 2023. The Corruption Perception Index measures perceived levels of public sector corruption. And Nigeria's score suggests that there is still much work to be done to deal with corruption. Nigeria shares its ranking with several other countries, including Uganda, Mexico, Madagascar, Iraq, and Cameroon. Denmark is ranked the least corrupt country in the world, with a score of 90 out of 100.
The whole idea is to strengthen our fight against corruption. It's not really about any spiritual, contest of any idea or understanding of issue. I think what the bottom line is that what Nigerians want, they want an improvement in our, system, They want to see that you apply for admission, you don't need to pay bribe, whether with the money or with their body. They want to see that if you apply for a job, you are giving it.
And now Mr. Rafsanjani joins me now. He's Executive Director at Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center. That's the local representative of Transparency International in Nigeria. It's good to have you tonight.
Thank you, and good evening, viewers.
When you say a country is corrupt, what do you actually mean?
When a country is corrupt, it means that the system, is actually not working, in the sense that public sector corruption is undermined, judiciary is actually undermined, electoral integrity is undermined, political integrity is undermined, and nepotism, bribery, waste of public taxpayers' money. These are the order that usually you see associated with a country that is actually corrupt. So if our system continue to undermine the integrity of any decent system, lack of compliance of rule of law, attack on civil society and media, attack on freedom of expression, that country definitely cannot be seen to be doing very well. When people are purchasing, judgment, when judges will give perpetual injunction not to question people who have been looted, who have looted their state or their offices or their country, then you give perpetual injunction that they should not be questioned, even their associates should not be asked. Certainly that country is in a very big, sheet of corruption. When the security is compromised, custom or police or army will be collecting bribe to allow bandits and terrorists to have their way. Certainly that country cannot be seen to be doing very well. So these are manifestation of the various form of corruption that we see: abuse of office, use public, office for personal gains.
Right.
These are all part of manifestation of corruption.
Right. So the reason I ask this question is because I want you to lay the foundation of this conversation. Is there a uniform definition of corruption all around the world? And I ask this because there are certain times that some social norms may come across as corruption in other places. For example, lobbying in America is a norm in the system. And lobbying constitutes putting pressure, putting funding into a certain cause or giving it to a certain representative in order to be able to influence the outcome of certain policies. If you do that same lobbying in places like Africa, would that constitute corruption also?
So let us have very clarity on this issue. Corruption is simply abuse of public office. In America, you cannot abuse public office and then you get, away.
Do you think lobbying is an abuse of public office?
Yeah,
or
so abuse
to
of public office or misuse of public office, you cannot do that in America and get away with it. Yes, you have lobbies that are there to lobby particular certain interests, but that interest cannot undermine the overall interest of the American government. So there's a difference between what you call lobby. But
that can also be contested, Mr. Rafsanjani, because there are people who would say whatever decision that lobbyists are trying to get, somebody else is going to be on the other side of that decision. My point is, if lobbying, the way it is being practiced in other climes, is also practiced here in Nigeria or any other part of the world, will that constitute corruption? And I'm asking because there are certain practices in certain parts of the world that would constitute, breaking of the law in those climes. Should there be a unified global definition of corruption?
So, like I mentioned to you, even in the US, because we work also in the US, we have a chapter in the US, and we are very, very familiar with the American, governance systems. The lobbying that we were talking about, it has nothing to do with stealing money that is meant to provide, safety or to provide healthcare system in America. That there's nothing like lobbying in America that will allow that kind of thing to happen. If you do that, you will go to jail. There's no way you can divert money that is allocated for provision of water in America. You steal that money, there's no way you can get free with that. So let us have clarity on this. There's nowhere in the where such kind of outright looting and stealing will happen and then it can be tolerated. No, it cannot be tolerated.
I think I would underline the word outright there, because I think that's the operative word in this conversation. Let's move on a little bit and look at where Nigeria is now in its own fight against the corruption that you have defined. In 2016, Nigeria scored its highest CPI point ever, 28 out of 100. It's been a roller coaster since then, up and down, up and down. It's nearly a decade later, we're 2 points down. Would you say Nigeria is more corrupt now than it was in 2016?
So what has happened in the last 10 years is that in 2016, there was commitment made by the Nigerian government, precisely by President Buhari, to commit the nation to open government partnership, to commit the government to ensuring implementation of beneficial ownership, to commit the government to ensuring that effective implementation of public procurement, to commit the government to ensuring that corruption in the security sector and other public sector corruption will not be tolerated. That signal and gave many people the perception or the understanding that the corruption will not be tolerated. That's how that perception at that period increased. Thereafter, the government relaxed and the business continued as usual. So Nigeria in the last 10 years has not made remarkable improvement in its rating, because you see that every day is one form of scandal of corruption or the other. That is why you see EFCC has been working, ICPC has been working, even the Nigerian police has been working, and NFIU, every day arresting public officials for looting public funds. That is to tell you how corruption has been democratized, how corruption has been widespread across the country. To get any public, services, you have to be, giving corruption. Even as a student, for you to, pass an exam, some lecturers will demand money, and if you are ready, if you are not lucky, they may demand money and then demand your body. So therefore, we need to understand that corruption has made incredible damage to our country, and we need to work closely and work together with both the government and all other persons to block the leakages, defeat corruption. Otherwise, the insecurity is associated with the corruption. The collapse of infrastructure and collapse of institutional integrity is all about corruption. Right. The fact that you also have hunger and starvation that are artificial is also associated with corruption. Even the palliative that you see government is giving.
All right, then we're going to have to leave it there now. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Awa Rafsanjani, Executive Director at Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, for joining us tonight. Thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
In a related development, President Bola Tinubu is taking a significant step towards transparency and accountability in his administration. In a move aimed at promoting openness and good governance, he has directed all ministers in his cabinet to render an account of their stewardship with immediate effect. This directive, announced by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, is designed to keep Nigerians informed about the government's achievements and provide an opportunity for citizens to ask questions. The ministerial briefings will not only showcase the government's accomplishments over the past year, but also serve as an assessment of the cabinet members' performance.
The essence of this meeting is twofold. One, to take you through the activities and programs of government, especially from January to date. And second, to also intimate you with the fact that the ministerial press briefing, as directed by Mr. President, is commencing next week. Over the next 3 months, as we approach the second anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration, we will bring honorable ministers to the National Press Center on a weekly basis so that they will explain to Nigerians what they are doing, what they intend to do, so that Nigerians can be better informed.
The Senate has adjourned plenary for its Committee on Appropriations to finalize work on the 2025 budget ahead of its expected presentation and deliberation by lawmakers. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, made this known during plenary session, emphasizing the need for lawmakers to swiftly conclude work on the budget, which is now in its final stages under the Senate Committee on Appropriations. President Bola Tinubu had initially presented a 49.7 trillion naira budget to a joint session of the National Assembly on December 18th last year. However, this was later increased to 54.2 trillion naira, reflecting a 5 trillion naira adjustment by the president. After reading the president's letter to lawmakers, Akpabio assured the Senate will expedite action on the budget, ensuring its passage before the end of the month. Still ahead tonight, Nigeria's House of Representatives appoint new Deputy Chief Whip. We have that story and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. The House of Representatives has appointed Isiaka Ibrahim as its new Deputy Chief Whip, replacing the former officeholder, Adewumi Ononuga, who passed away on January the 15th. The announcement was made during plenary by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, where he says that the appointment followed consultations with key stakeholders and the APC Southwest Caucus. Isiaka Ibrahim, the new Deputy Chief Whip, represents the Ifo Ewekoro Federal Constituency in Ogun State, located in the southwestern part of Nigeria.
The leadership of the House has received and accepted the recommendation of Honorable Isiaka Ibrahim to serve as the Deputy Chief Whip of the House of Representatives.
The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has dismissed the suspension of the chairman of the party's Board of Trustees, Senator Adolphus Wabara, from the party. The committee described the reported suspension as null and void and of no effect whatsoever because they say it runs contrary to the provisions of the party's constitution as amended in 2017 and other laid down rules of the PDP. In a statement signed by its spokesman, Dele Ologwagba, the party added that no state working committee has the power to suspend or take any disciplinary action against a member of the National Executive Committee of the party without recourse to the National Working Committee, as clearly provided in the Constitution of the PDP. Nigeria, one of Africa's largest economies, says it is building a resilient and competitive business environment by adopting Germany's chamber-led economic governance model. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in collaboration with the Gizon Chamber of Commerce and Industry, plans to implement this model to enhance Nigeria's economic sustainability. News Central's Nasir Agbalaya filed this report.
Chambers of Commerce in Nigeria and Germany are working together to reduce the geopolitical risks both are exposed to. This is happening through a collaborative program to upskill Nigerian youth as well as small and medium-scale enterprises or SMEs in a partnership that will enhance their competitiveness to drive economic growth.
The Nigerian people would gain a lot because you see, in Germany we have a unemployment rate below 5%. I think here in Nigeria you have an unemployment rate above 20%. The German model of dual vocational training has proved to be very, very successful because from the very first day, the apprentices gain experience from the market. That means it's a market-driven approach, not a supply-driven approach for migration. That means the young guys have to learn German here in Nigeria, and then either when they have already passed a high qualification, they can start to work in Germany, or which applies to more Nigerians, is to receive a free dual vocational training, which opens up them then later to either work in Germany or work all over Europe. But of course we are interested that the Nigerians work in German companies. They will get good payment, and maybe later they might return to Nigeria.
Affirming the benefits, some participants at an advocacy and policy session in the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry shared more insight.
Objective of the improvement project is to help optimize the chamber processes, also help optimize membership development, and as well as entrepreneurship, especially within the country. You know, we have so many SMEs and they need development.
This training basically is about how to enhance chambers, the operation of chambers, and make them much more effective and efficient. And like you can see, our partners from Germany have really achieved a lot. It is the German Chamber of Commerce that really runs the economy.
Incidentally, this project came after an investment pitch by a former government spokesman.
That's another area where I think the government is now doing a lot, in terms of, incentives and the like. Especially the focus of the government now is that we are not going to don't just take out our raw minerals, add value to it. That way you create jobs. That way you do technology transfer also.
A major European powerhouse is making inroads into Africa's most populous nation to secure its economic status while ensuring a steady remittance stream for those interested.
President Donald Trump made no attempt on Tuesday to soften his proposal to relocate Palestinians in Gaza and redevelop the land into premium housing, even as King Abdullah II of Jordan suggested the Arab world was opposed to it. Trump repeated his views that Palestinians should be moved out of the devastated Strip to parcels in third countries, including Jordan, despite the objections of those countries' leaders. And the president brushed aside questions about what authority the U.S. might wield to take control of the Palestinian enclave. Abdullah did not outrightly reject the president's idea, but his discomfort with the plan was obvious as he indicated alternate proposals for Gaza will be forthcoming. Welcome back. It's time for business news, and Leko from our business desk is here with us. Leko, why is the CBN scrapping free ATM withdrawals when we withdraw from a bank that isn't ours?
Well, interestingly, they say that it is to help banks, of course, meet up with the cost of operations and to equally increase the value chain in terms of a cashless transaction. But I'll bring you the details in the business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, in a recent circular, directed banks to eliminate 3 free monthly withdrawals on other banks' ATMs starting March 1, 2025, signed by John Onoja, Acting Director of Financial Policy. This policy revises ATM fees under CBN's 2020 Guide to Charges. Customers will now pay 100 naira per 20,000 naira withdrawal, with additional surcharges on off-site ATMs, aiming to improve ATM accessibility and promote cashless transactions nationwide. Away from that, Kenya's cabinet has approved a proposed spending plan of 4.2 trillion shillings. That's about $32.65 billion for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. According to a statement from President William Ruto's office, this is as an extra 199.9 billion shillings was ratified for the 2024-2025 budget. The Finance Ministry's budget policy statement will be submitted to Parliament for approval, aiming for an economic growth forecast of 5.3% in 2025 and 2026 from an estimated 4.6% expansion last year. Let's now look at the equities markets. Trading activities in the Nigerian equities market closed positive at the end of today. The NGX all-share index increased to 106,574.98, right there, indicating, of course, 0.65% rather in the change, and a year-to-date return of 3.54%. When you look at market capitalization, 66.49 trillion naira, with a market turnover of 11.762 billion naira. 36 stocks advanced and 24 stocks declined, while 58 stocks remain unchanged. We now look at sectoral performance. Well, the banking index gained 0.44% as investors continue to show interest in Tier 1 and Tier 2 banking stocks. Insurance increased 0.19% despite relatively low liquidity. Well, the oil and gas index slipped marginally by 0.02% as investors remain cautious over global crude oil price fluctuations. Look at consumer goods. The sector declined 0.52%, marking its worst performing sector of the day, while industrial goods saw gains of 2.4%. And that's it, looking at the Nigerian bourse, and of course that's end of business news for now. I am Lekon Obanjo.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome back. Tunde joins us now with the latest in sports news. How's the preps for the AFCON Under-20 in Cote d'Ivoire going, Tunde?
Yeah, well, the coach of the team, Ali Zubero, has called up 30 players and they'll be playing 2 international friendly matches just to get ready for what promises to be an exciting Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. I'll give you all that and much more after this break.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome to sports. Nigeria's Flying Eagles will face Egypt in 2 friendly matches as part of their build-up for the 2025 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations. The matches are scheduled for February the 25th and 27th in Cairo. Head coach Ali Zubero has called up 30 players for the fixtures, aiming to fine-tune his squad ahead of the tournament. The Under-20 AFCON will take place in Cote d'Ivoire from the 26th of April to May the 18th, with the top 4 teams earning qualifications for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. The friendlies against Egypt will provide a crucial test of the Flying Eagles in their quest for continental glory and a ticket to the global stage. To table tennis now, and newly elected ITTF Africa President Waheed Edintor Oshodi has outlined his plans for the sport as his tenure begins with the ITTF Africa Cup in Tunis from the 25th to the 27th of February. Oshodi aims to enhance the tournament's global appeal by improving officiating, introducing mentorship programs for umpires, and offering advanced coaching courses. He emphasized collaboration with stakeholders to modernize African club championships and also increase participation. A key initiative includes a partnership with one of Africa's leading airlines to reduce travel costs for teams. Beyond competition, Oshodi envisions transforming African table tennis into a global spectacle through enhanced media coverage, sponsorship deals, and better player incentives. And back to football now. Falconet star Shukurat Oladipo has completed a permanent move to Italian giants AS Roma, signing a contract until June 2027. The 20-year-old centre-back joins from Nigeria's Women's Football League side FC Robo Queens, where she made 178 appearances across all competitions. Oladipo was a key player for Nigeria's Falconets at the 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in Colombia, featuring in all 4 of their matches. She also earned 2 caps for the Super Falcons at the senior level, and her move to AS Roma marks a significant step in a promising career on the international stage. To some African football now, Sami Trabelsi has been reappointed as Tunisia's head coach, marking his second stint with the Carthage Eagles. The former Tunisian defender, who played at the 1998 FIFA World Cup, previously led the national team from 2011 to 2013 before stepping down after a disappointing Africa Cup of Nations campaign. The Tunisian Football Federation confirmed his appointment on Monday night, and he replaces Fawzi Benzati, who was dismissed in October. Trabelsi's primary objective will be securing Tunisia's spot at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And currently, Tunisia heads Group H in the African qualifiers, and the 56-year-old coach will be eager to build momentum as the team pushes for a World Cup appearance. And Chelsea striker Sam Kerr was on Tuesday found not guilty of causing racially aggravated harassment after calling a London police officer, I quote, stupid and white. A jury at Kingston Crown Court cleared the Australia captain in relation to an incident in southwest London on the 30th of January 2023. Kerr and her partner, West Ham midfielder Christy Mewis, had been out drinking when they were driven to Twickenham police station by a taxi driver who complained they had refused to pay cleanup costs after one of them had vomited and one of them had smashed the vehicle's rear window. At the police station, Kerr became abusive and insulting towards police officer Stephen Lovell, calling him stupid and white. A jury returned the not guilty verdict after deliberating for more than 4 hours since the previous day. And that's all we have on sports tonight.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
It's time for entertainment news, and Sam Dandy from our entertainment desk is here. I hear Rima is going on a world tour.
Absolutely right. I mean, he's a superstar. I know he's only 23, but he's going to do it again, and the locations he's going to be performing in, oof.
Tell me one.
All the details.
Okay.
I need the Ultra Arena. Let's start with that.
Okay.
The iconic Ultra Arena.
All
but
right.
I'll bring you all the details after this quick break.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
It was electrifying and also very natural. It just looked like he was having so much fun.
It did.
And we were all having fun with him. I think the fact that he's so relatable.
The
is
only
important.
jealousy I had, I'm a huge fan of Drake.
Right.
So I'm like, oh God, the fact that song.
Oh, was a diss track against
But here's
Drake. All right, sorry, Drake fans.
But that's not the only news, all right? One of the 400 performers during Kendrick's show, one of the dancers, was detained for raising a Sudanese Palestinian flag with Sudan and Gaza written on it. Now, although the stunt was only faintly televised, it was held for a few seconds, the flag, before the performer was chased off and tackled by security. Now, NFL's president, Brian McCarthy, said production was unaware of this person's intent and they will be banned for life from all NFL stadiums and events. Now, this, of course, in line to the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. I think...
You know what? Sports is a unifying... sporting events are unifying events, regardless of your... gender, sex, and politics. It's usually a place where a religion it's a neutral platform, but has also become a platform to air such grievances. I mean, where would you get millions of people all around the world watching at the same time? And if you want to forget about what's happening in Sudan right now, which is insane, people are dying and starving. You see this, you suddenly remember that's true. Something crazy is still happening in Sudan, and of course Gaza.
Well, I guess I'm just excited about Rima, but hey.
I know you are.
Entertainment time, Sam Dandy.
Thanks, Sam.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
The news tonight. But before we go, here's a reminder of our top stories. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, laments rot in the judiciary despite Nigeria's climb in the latest Corruption Perception Index report. President Tinubu orders ministers to give account of stewardship with immediate effect. President Donald Trump doubles down on taking over Gaza as he meets with King of Jordan at the White House. Remember, you can watch News Central live on DSTV, Channel 422, and Start Times, Channel 274, AVO TV, and YouTube. We thank you very much for watching. From myself and my team, I am Adeshewa Josh. I'll see you around.